And off that strong consumer demand, the ports at Los Angeles and Long Beach are the most crowded that they've ever been. At last count yesterday, there were 100 ships waiting to enter and unload, but both ports handle about 40% of the shipping containers brought into the United States. Last week, President Biden announced that the Port of LA would start operating 24/7 in a bid to ease the logjams at one of the busiest ports in the Western Hemisphere. So where do we stand now? Let's bring in Seroka, Executive Director of the Port of Los Angeles. He joins us from LA. Jean, thank you for your time. Very challenging times here. On Monday, record 100 ships were forced to queue outside for a berth. You're questioning that reported number. Where does the congestion stand now, and how confident are you that it will start to clear?
Good morning, Sri. We've got 62 container ships at anchor. We've held pretty steady with that type of a number for the past couple of weeks. But of course, we're concerned. We've got cargo that needs to make its way to market on the consumer side, manufacturing parts and components that have to get to the factory floor, and all of that being done with a huge surge in cargo that may not need to make it to market as quickly as possible. So we've got to segment that away just for the time being and get these hot goods into the interior of the country as quickly as we can.
Right, and your entire team, from dockside workers to operations to you on the leadership team, you've pivoted decisively and swiftly to meet these supply chain challenges. Is it going to be enough, though, Jean, to avert what could be a highly disruptive peak season? And will goods ultimately get to retailers, manufacturers and the public? Or are we facing inevitable shortages?
No, I'm confident because many of our savvy importers here in the United States began bringing holiday goods in as early as July through the Port of Los Angeles. Now, of course, lead times are longer. Every part of the supply chain is stressed. We have spot shortages, and it takes a little bit longer to get the goods that we may want. But we've got a good chance to keep pushing through during this holiday season to the all-important Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then making sure that friends, children, and family have good presents this holiday season.
Gene Martin here. Great to see you again. So give us a little bit of color. It wasn't that long ago that the president was saying that, look, Los Angeles, where you are, has to join Long Beach, and it's got to be a 24/7 operation. But a big distinction here between being open for business 24/7 and actually working 24/7. I mean, is that distinction still true, or are you guys just flat out?
Good morning, Marty. Combination of all of what you've just said. Our terminals here at the Port of Los Angeles have been working all out with extra hours, extra shifts since this surge began. Working weekends as well. What the president did last week in Washington was telegraph to the rest of the industry that the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach are going to be open 24/7. Let's bring your business and get it going. Other parts in the supply chain orchestra don't work on the same calendar as we do. And that's also part of what the president was trying to do in bringing leaders together for a roundtable discussion earlier that morning at the cabinet level. So let's get our warehouses working more than just during the day. Our truck drivers, there are 30,000 short nationwide in the United States. We also need more here at the ports. Federal standards mandate that they can drive no longer than 11 hours during the day, and after consecutive work, they have to take a rest. So we've got to focus on those two segments to make them professional career opportunities. So our industry, largely private sector in the supply chain, can attract, recruit, and retain those professionals that are needed. Our dock workers have been going all out, as I've reported to you before. 6 days a week on average. Vessel productivity is up 80% in the last 6 weeks compared to more normal times.
Yeah, longshoremen, pretty busy, sounds like. So, Gene, would it be fair to say that labor, that's your main constraint? You talked about the truck drivers. I just saw a story of an FBI agent who retired, and the first thing he did was jump into a truck because the money was so good. Is labor the biggest constraint holding back the faster throughput of goods and cargo?
Labor's an issue, but it's how you ingest all of this cargo, trying to supply the American consumer's demand domestically here in the United States. There are bottlenecks throughout the supply chain. Last week, as I was in Washington, I reported that 25% of all that cargo on the docks was sitting for 13 days or longer. In more normal times, cargo rests for 2 days, and then it's off on its way to the interior of the U.S. We've been able to bring that down to about 6% of all cargo over 13 days. So we're cycling trucks in and out of here as quickly as we can. But you've got a combination in a couple of segments of labor away from the docks, and we just simply got to be able to bring this cargo through to market. That last mile is so important to get to the store shelves and have it in those local and regional fulfillment centers.
Gene, you've laid on new shifts and weekend hours. What does morale look like and sound like amongst your workforce? And are they collectively looking for higher compensation if they are working longer hours?
Our dock workers are paid quite well, and deservedly so. They're the highest skilled in this area of the business anywhere. They're continuing to work hard, but we pay thanks to them at all times, staying very close to senior leadership and making sure there's good rotation out there on the docks. Again, the truckers and warehouse workers, there's going to be some very strong discussion at the private sector level, Sri, on remuneration, benefits, and how we attract those people into this business, how we reskill and upskill folks so they'll stay with us for a while. That's going to be a big part of what the future looks like around the supply chain.
Gene, I remember pre-COVID, we were having a conversation about you guys investing in AI and automation, which I'm sure you've done. Does it surprise you that it hasn't really caught these supply kinks? Should it have done, or are we asking too much? And what are the lessons learned from these supply chain blockages that we're witnessing now?
Here at the Port of Los Angeles, we created the nation's first and still only port community system. Here in the United States, Sri, I've been on record saying that the U.S. is decades behind other trading nations in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East when it comes to information sharing. We still have a very protective look at data, and others don't want to see their competitors rising up with these insights that analytics provide. And still, only about half of this San Pedro Bay is using the Port Optimizer system. We need more folks to be engaged, involved in this information sharing concept, and it has to happen. So I'm not surprised with this backlog because we're looking at it with one eye closed. We have to improve the number of folks that come on board. The insights I see are numerous. How can we see not only upstream further, but around corners in making sure that we know what cargo demand looks like before that order cycle process kicks in Asia at the factory level? We've seen many trends throughout this surge. A pileup of empty containers, the need for sweeper vessels to come in, elongated demand, and now we're seeing what's going to happen next after our traditional holiday season. An early Lunar New Year, and major U.S. retailers are telling me that Q2 next year in 2022 is going to be focused on replenishment of inventory. So the strength of this import market will continue. We need to squeeze out every minute, every hour of efficiency we can. We believe data is a big part of that.
Yeah. Okay, Gene, listen, good luck to you. Appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to us this late afternoon, your side. Gene Seroka there from the Port of Los Angeles, joining Sri and I live.